Okay, welcome everybody to Hiraeth magazine. This is our first storytelling event, so this is really exciting. We had no idea what the turnout would be, so this is really cool to see everybody here. A quick word about us, if you haven't already checked us out. Hiraeth is a Welsh word that refers to a nostalgia for a home that no longer exists or that never was. We are a digital magazine and a podcast that formed during the summer of last year when a group of artists and writers came together to talk about ideas of home and belonging.
Barefoot she walked when her shoes wore out, and wrapped her bleeding feet in linen and embroidery meant for her bridal chest. And he too, hands empty of everything but hope, crossed plains and mountains, walked alone, with beating heart leading him softly on. Home found and journey done, she heard from his lips her native tongue, and he, in her answer, the land he left behind.
Monica came to me last summer with an idea to set up a magazine group with the idea of talking about what home meant to all of us. And it's a time when it's just around the time of the Brexit vote, which was devastating blow for me before the American elections, and we were kind of witnessing our homelands that we all left quite a long time ago changing into something quite unrecognizable.
And so being here in the Netherlands as a foreigner, as someone who maybe doesn't quite feel at home here, it really resonated with me, this idea of what is home? Is it a place? Is it a feeling? Is it a group of people? What is it, and how can we make it, and how can we find it?
When you feel home once, your heart will feel what's right. Sometimes you do it twice to feel earth in your spine. What keeps me through dark night is the thought that I rise. What's the point
there and turned into a werewolf? We were barbecuing shashlik on the bridge. It was King's Night, and the moon was unashamedly orange, and we were all naked. I think that is what probably started the grisly process.
When you really get close to the story that someone is telling you about their life, then there is that empathy and that closeness and that intimacy almost that helps you to understand that person and see how their experience relates to yours and how yours relates to theirs. And so many people have opened up about what is difficult for them, or what surprised them, or how they made a home somewhere that they never expected to be.
Of course I did. I bought the cheapest ticket that I could find. I made my way, like changing the flight in Frankfurt. I flew to Riga, which is not Lithuania, it's Latvia. I took the bus from Riga to the nearest big town, to my small village. I arrived there, and it's so dark. Guys, you can't imagine, it's so dark. It's so weird to experience such darkness here in us.
Many years ago I wrote a poem about my hometown, which was a very rude poem about how much I hated it. And someone said, I sent it to a magazine in the town, and he said he liked the poem, but I needed an objective correlative. Why do I find myself here? The curse of my teenage years. It's so narrow valley where a cliff face looms white over Victorian stone houses with wet blue grey slate roofs. I left at 18, back 5 years later to find my roots. Loved it, hated it.
Home is however we define it, will be something that will shape our idea of the world, especially if we're migrating, especially if we're moving, and this happens more and more in our world. We come together with these very different ideas and very different feelings, from be it childhood or be it an idea that we strive for, how we want to see it. And we have to share one space, but each of us brings his own idea of home. And I think this is a very important notion to talk about and to to get the feeling for the other, and why this project Hiraeth is conceived as a storytelling but also an artistic project where people would not just sit down and try to figure out how can we share this space in a very practical manner, but really try to connect to each other through a very emotional artistic expression, which is very often touches much deeper.
There's a language I was born into, a language my mother, my father spoke to me. They still do. A language I use every day, uniting it with my other languages. Moving, I see it everywhere. When I walk in cities, I see, I feel, I imagine this language. It is the language of my heart. That is that language I yearn for, constantly.
I'm from Mexico, and being that this is all about home and where are we, and about how we feel nostalgia from how sometimes our homes are no longer the same way that they were when we left, I decided to write a bit of an intimate story that has to do with the place that I grew up in Mexico, but not only that, how it's related to my family, to my culture, and how are we as people. People have many ideas of what does it mean to be Mexican. The food, the sombreros, the joy, the crime, a wall. Well, they're not entirely wrong. There is a whole Mexico that is slowly getting forgotten by the misconceptions of today. But I know its story. It is the story of how Vicente Gutierrez died. Vicente Gutierrez was in fact a man of Mexico. He had the mustache, the horse, and much like me, he was born into a Mexico that was changing. He was born right after the revolution. It was a chaotic time. There were many men talking about changes and progress. But Vicente was a simple man. He knew how to work the land, he knew how to shoot, and he drank and sang at parties. If at that time the world was involved in its own melodrama and wars, he knew nothing of this. He was just a typical Mexican man.
Migration Lab today is a foundation. It's a non-profit organization. It co-creates opportunities for migrants, refugees, and locals to come together, to meet, to inspire each other and collaborate in different cities across Europe. Usually it's about topics that matter for the people in a specific neighborhood, and topics that concern how can we live together in the same space with our similarities and with our differences.
It's not a political, an overtly political platform, but many of the things we do are very political and can be seen as being political, but we come at it from this viewpoint of art and of literature and of trying to make sense of the world in these creative ways that come naturally to us and that are the way that we express our feelings about home and our feelings about this quest and this search for the feeling of belonging.
Yeah, and I think that with the refugee crisis and everything, it's like, what can I do? And this is something that I felt I could do, is create a dialogue, get people to communicate.
When you speak about terminology, there's Hiraeth itself, this word that means a longing for home, maybe a home that doesn't exist, a home that might exist in the future, a home that used to exist. It's this kind of tantalizing feeling of searching for something that you're not quite sure what it is, but you'll know it when you find it.
If you ever get to that point.
We hope we'll get there.